Hello, Night Nation. Trace Trelko here. This is the mic. It would help if I brought the mic over by me. I just realized that. This is the Sons of UCF Live, which we're renaming tonight Cowboys and Giants Talk. Hey, guys, let's open up the show. How'd your teams do?
Not good. Not good.
Nothing?
I mean, we lost.
They're not good. Not good.
No. We'll return now to the Sons of UCF Live. Boom today, I forgot to include in the rundown. Colton Boomer announcing officially that he's on full scholarship. So still no Big 12 schedule, but we got that boom on a Thursday afternoon. And it'll be interesting to see him kicking in spring and what was our previous kicker, Daniel Obarski? He won't be in spring camp this year. So Colton Boomer's job to lose, right?
Yeah, well deserved. Obviously, he had a great freshman year. I believe the only miss was the 64-yard fake that wasn't a fake. That was a fake. That turned out not to be a fake. I think I saw he's number 10 already in kicks made in UCF history. So he's only a freshman. Now plenty of time to go up those charts there. So congrats to Colton on getting a scholarship. With
Grant Reddick coming in already on scholarship, we have 2 kickers on scholarship. Are we the only team in the country right now that is doing that?
That's unusual, right? No doubt they wanted to add Colton Boomer to scholarship and not see him slip away somewhere else in the transfer portal and NIL dollar era. So good to have Colton back. Of course, the big news this week, the announcement of the spring game on Friday, April 14th, 6:30. All sorts of controversy, Knights versus Citronauts, and on a Friday night. I asked on my poll, what do you think of it? 63% love the time and the day of the week. About a third said, and only a few haters out there. Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I mean, we got to try something different. I think the last 2 have been relatively sparsely attended. It's also been at noon on a Saturday. It's been sweltering hot. I've been at the last 2, so I'm open to try something new. I know Friday nights can be a little bit tricky for people with work and kids and school and whatnot, but I'm open to try something new. I think at this point, I'm planning on attending this one. I think I can make that work and advance notice to take the day off. So I'm going to go in the love it category for right now until I get there at least.
I'll quote Allen Iverson when I say, we're talking about practice. We're talking about practice, guys. People are making a big deal because they moved it on a Friday night. It's practice. Calm down. Relax. Not that big of a deal.
I'm going to drag a mailbag question up to hear Lisa Vanderwide. Home baseball game scheduled at the same time. Thoughts on how that would work for JRP? That's sort of an interesting topic, right? Unless baseball blinks and moves the game, but what does he do? Run from the outfield onto the football field? How does that work exactly?
Who are we playing? Do you know?
I don't know that. I didn't look that up. I just know that they.
So that could matter. It depends who we're playing. I have a feeling Greg Lovelady could give him an afternoon off and an evening off to go play a little football, throw it around the yard. If you listen to the Sons UCF podcast this week, we exclusively revealed JRP's baseball stats from his time at Ole Miss. I think people are reputing him to be a legendary baseball player. Little light with the bat there, last I can tell.
Well, he hasn't been playing the position for that long, right? That's a different talking point. That's not.
But I think this could work out perfectly because my assessment of JRP is he's a late inning pinch runner or outfield replacement. He could play the first 2 quarters of the football game, get changed, go over to the baseball stadium, and pinch run in the 8th if we need him. I think it could work out for both parties.
Conference series against Memphis is what is scheduled that Friday. Conference series.
He's playing baseball. It's a conference game. It's a game that counts. It's not a practice football game. He's playing the baseball game. What do you think he's going to do with Brian Jordan? Played 2 games and one. Brian Jordan did that, right? For the Braves and the Falcons.
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I think Deion did it one time too. Yeah, in the World Series.
Are you saying JRP is no Deion? Is that what you're...
Exclusively reporting that, yes. Exclusive.
Revealed that. We're expecting our guest tonight at 8:10, former UCF linebacker Terrence Plummer. And so talking linebackers this week. Well, after it's all said and done, what did you guys think of how the linebackers? There's an area of concern in 2022. I asked final grade on that. I was surprised to see 49%, another 40% gave it a B. I thought all in all, it turned out better than we went into the season thinking.
Yeah, I was in that BC range, right? I think Jason Johnson obviously was a revelation, leading the team in tackles, coming in as his first year at UCF. Walter Yates the third came in at times and was pretty productive. We saw a young Cam Moore get in there at times too. Obviously, we had Jeremiah Jean Baptiste kind of in and out of the lineup with some injuries, but he played pretty well in his time with UCF. So in terms of the defensive positions, linebacker, frankly, wasn't the position group that I was most concerned with. It's probably more the secondary. So I think relative to where, and maybe this is the problem for me, relative to where I thought they were going to be. I guess I had a low bar in terms of what I thought they may produce. I think they actually overachieved in that sense. So I'm in that B- range for linebackers.
Yeah, I gave him a C. I mean, Jason Johnson was the one guy that put up big numbers, but you need more than just one guy. You're talking about a whole linebacking crew. You need 3 or 4 guys to go in there and put up some tackles and stuff. So it was fine. It wasn't the worst part of the defense. So it's not a failing grade, but it wasn't anything spectacular either.
When you think about the transfer portal, what are your thoughts on these FCS guys that come in? You think they're more than capable of jumping in? I mean, Jason Johnson certainly proved himself.
Yeah, I don't see why not, Trace. I mean, certainly the level of talent may be a little different in what they play week in and week out. But I mean, if you have the skill set, if you have the desire to learn, if you're a hard worker, I think you can come into UCF and be a pivotal piece. We've seen it a few different times before, right? I mean, obviously Jason Johnson is the latest example. Kobe Perry played pretty well for UCF in the secondary and spots. So I think there certainly is opportunity for those guys to come in. And maybe this is just a generalization on my part. I feel like they may be a little hungrier, a little more to prove that they want to play at that level. So give me someone who's willing to fight, scrap, claw, and do what they got to do to get on the field and play well. And I think typically you give me that effort more times than not, you're going to have a decent player on your hands.
The transfer portal is opening and back up again, right? Is this a position that we're definitely going to have to look into going into next year?
Yes.
Yeah. And we got National Signing Day coming up on Wednesday, February 1st. Seems like the Harris twins is the big one to watch.
Yeah, I think May 1st, Mike, is when the next portal opens, May 1st to May 15th. I think certainly if I'm UCF, if I'm new linebacker coach Ernie Sims, I probably want a little bit more depth there at this position, right? I mean, who we bring in, I think we've had a lot of guys who have been around the program, just haven't been in the field a lot. So I think you're going to want some more depth there. I imagine if he can go grab one other guy from the portal that's got some playing experience, either at the FCS level or FBS level, I think that's probably a move that we're going to want to make. No disrespect to the younger players and Cam Moore, and if the Harris twins do decide to come to UCF, but I think it's pretty rare for a freshman linebacker to step in and be productive that early. I'm not saying impossible, but I think it's rare. But also don't forget Brandon Jennings. I think he's a name we're all forgetting about because he essentially redshirted in the middle of the year. I think there was thought he was going to enter the transfer portal. He did not enter the transfer portal, so he's still with UCF. People who have seen some of the reps that he got as the scout team member said that he was actually playing really well. So perhaps that's a nice new addition that we weren't really counting on. So keep Brandon Jennings' name in mind too.
I mean, we're gonna need some people. The guy that came over from the Cows and left. He was supposed to be the next big thing at linebacker, and now he's not here. So they're gonna have to do something here. And the whole defense is gonna need revamping. The whole team really going into the Big 12.
The whole team.
The whole team. The whole team. There was talk of a scheduled Gus Malzahn press conference last week to talk about all of the additions through the transfer portal, and then that didn't happen. Maybe there was some other news that dominated for UCF, and they didn't want to be involved in the headlines in those days. But now, with the National Signing Day coming up next week, opportunity perhaps Gus Malzahn to talk about the portal additions and any new signees. So we haven't heard from Coach Malzahn in a while. It's just never ending, right? Never ending cycle. Talk of portal, talk of early signing days, and then National Signing Day. It's a year-round cycle.
Yeah, I mean, Gus said it in that presser where he kind of talked about his ideas about leaving the play calling behind. I mean, it's now a 365-day a year situation, right? And we just saw this happen and play out for UCF because not only are you recruiting, the high school kids, you're recruiting transfer portals. Now you're trying to keep your guys here too, right? You're trying to avoid the Matt Lee situation where a guy you think is solid with you all of a sudden gets in the portal for whatever reason and leaves you. So you're re-recruiting your own guys day after day. You're recruiting high school. You're recruiting college. You're trying to keep everybody at bay. It's a 365 job these days for a college football coach. They're paid handsomely, don't get me wrong, but it certainly is a longer job, I think, than it used to be.
And more importantly, I think they have to recruit the donors. They need people to come in to join the kingdom to pay these players to come and stay here. And Malzahn probably plays a big part in that too, going to the big wigs' houses and trying to get some money out of them.
When's he coming to yours?
Not anytime soon.
Wouldn't you like to be a bigwig and have Malzahn over there?
Beg me for some money?
Yeah.
Yeah, just see him grovel for.
What would you like? What would you ask him for, Mike? Like a play call? Like I'm sure you need something in return, right? Hey, Gus, can I call the first play of the game? You need something, right?
I don't know. I'd probably get more things out of Timo. Like, I want the best seats. I want the all-inclusive drinks and all that stuff.
Hot dogs everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I imagine you making a request of Gus Malzahn for hot dogs and him just looking at you like, why am I here? Are we at this point the $2,500 donor? I got to grovel in his garage. I mean, living room or wherever you're at. There, Mike. Are we going to get this Big 12 schedule?
I assume at some point, Tracy. Yes, they're going to have to release a schedule.
When's it coming?
Next week.
Great. Next week. Well, Mike says next week. Exclusive. Here we go. February 1st.
I mean, we just keep saying.
Mahatcher said 2 weeks ago, last week.
He just said Tuesday. He didn't say which Tuesday.
He did just say Tuesday. He didn't specify on a particular Tuesday. I know we got asked. It was a late question that came in on the mailbag. Ideal schedule. I know there's been a lot of talk about that. The trip to Texas. Which of Texas and Oklahoma would you prefer to have at home, if you could get one?
I'd say Oklahoma. We've already had Texas at home. Obviously, it was 20 or 17, 15 years ago, whatever the math would be on that. So I say Oklahoma. Obviously, there's some intrigue with some former Knights on that team there. So I wouldn't mind the Sooners coming into to the bounce house. I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, Sock Boy back in the bounce house. You think he'd hear it from the fans a little bit? And also, Oklahoma was the lesser of the two teams last year, and probably the next season too. You would think Texas might be the better team, so probably a better chance of beating Oklahoma next year.
Worst road games to me, they got to be the cold weather cities late November.
Yeah, I mean, BYU obviously comes to mind at that point, right? I don't think you want to go to BYU. Texas can get interesting with the weather. Obviously, they have their cold spells. I'd want to avoid like the Tulsa-esque environments, like anything that's going to be sparsely crowded. I think Iowa State, maybe depending on how well they're playing in the cold in November, that could be dicey as well. So I would like to avoid some of those late in the season. Obviously we don't play well in cold. See the Military Bowl for more details.
They'll all be the same for me because I'm going to be on the couch or at the den. So the weather's not going to affect me, but team wise, yes, you don't want to go too many cold places. We were spoiled last year. We didn't leave the state of Florida, I think maybe twice all year. Yeah. We finished the year over in Tampa, which was basically another home game. That's not going to happen anymore now in the American.
So Mike, back to the spring game. You coming? Tailgate?
No, I will not be there.
Ruling this out already?
Yeah, it's practice. I told you guys, I'm not going out there for practice. And
the tailgating.
Yeah. No, I'm not going. And I'm probably going to have to be forced to go to Tampa that weekend because my daughter still wants to go to this Taylor Swift concert, which is the same weekend.
You still have tickets to that?
No, I don't have tickets yet. I need tickets. If anybody wants to give me some, I'll happily take it.
Why don't you just swing by the spring game Friday night, drive over Saturday? You got plenty of time to go see Taylor. It's a nice little weekend for Mike.
No, too much driving. Okay. Here, there. I don't want to go to either. So I mean, if I'm going to get forced to go to one, it's probably going to be Tampa.
How many Taylor Swift songs do you know?
I've heard of pretty much all of them around the house, but I actually know by name 2.
You could sing along with?
If I heard it, yeah, maybe a couple of songs. I can't even think of the names off the top of my head, but I know some.
Adam, what about you?
I actually probably could sing a good majority of them. Yeah, I mean, Lavender Haze is out right now, really good song. What's the other one?
Is that the 10-minute song? So she does a song.
I don't know about that. There's one that Me, Hi, I'm the Problem, It's Me. I don't know the name of that one, but that's on the radio every time I'm in the car. So Anti-Hero, I think it's called.
Where's your daughter on Taylor? Does she like it?
Pro Taylor. We're a pro Taylor house. Jordan's got some information for us here. We are a pro Taylor household. The older stuff per se, not the older country vibe. That's not really our thing.
The older country vibe? Is
Yeah,
that what she is?
she was like a country music star when she first came out. Somebody fact check me on this. I think I'm right. She was like a country singer in her initial. Why are we talking about this, by the way? She was a country singer
Terrence
early on in
Plummer's
her
not here.
career. Terrence Plummer is not here, is correct. And I think she went more into the mainstream pop section. So I'm gonna need somebody in the chat here to help me out. I don't,
I'm gonna need Devin's tickets for Friday. She doesn't have to go to all 3 shows. Devin,
Devin's
go
a guy.
Thursday, give me the
Devin's a
tickets for
guy.
Friday,
Tickets
and
for
you
all
go
3
back on
shows.
Saturday.
I have tickets for all 3 shows.
I don't know.
Sell
James
all
Duncan is on my side. I'm sure this is not a compliment.
that.
I don't know if that's referring to Mike or somebody else. Good luck with all that. I agree with you, Matt, from Giants Talk to Taylor Swift Talk. Which is worse, by the way? I'll let you know.
Giants
Mario.
talk or Taylor Swift?
Mario, big Swiftie fan.
Oh, this doesn't surprise me, actually.
We're getting more comments about Taylor Swift.
This could be the most popular segment on the
This
show.
might be it. Mike names his favorite. It's just those linebackers on the screen, by the way. Mike names his favorite Taylor Swift songs.
All right. I think that's
I saw there was a social media thing this week, Trace. UCF asked, without giving the year, name the musical artists that were popular when you were at UCF.
Without giving the year.
Without giving the year, what musical artists were popular when you were there?
I don't know.
When the Trace was there, the Beatles.
That's just rude.
Look what you made me do. That's the song I've been trying to think of for the last 5 minutes, Trace. Look what you made me. That's the one that Taylor Swift.
Did that flash on the screen, or you just
No. I just thought about it when I told you that you were at school when the Beatles were there.
Sorry, Jordan.
Jordan, by the way, I met Jordan. Jordan was one of the winners of our Colton Boomer merchandise, as was Devin. And Ian, Ian's in Italy. That's where he's living. His wife's in the military, and I have not had opportunity to get to the post office. Been busy with work and other things. So what do you think it costs to send a hat to Italy?
It's not cheap.
No? How much?
I don't think so.
Well, this is a big investment now.
As I'm sending hats around the country now for some of our Sons of UCF listeners, you're gonna put a couple maybe a 20 spot on that at least.
$20?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
More than the price of the hat.
Well, the hat was free.
James Duncan was there.
I ran up to Trace after that Memphis game. What was that now? What was that comment about running up to Trace after that Memphis game?
That was it. And we got an LAMOO, double O's. I really wish Terrence Plummer was here right now.
Yeah, well, I can tell you. Well, I don't know why that is. Trying to figure that out. It's hard to talk and pay attention to that all at the same time. Yeah, I do know that the Orlando Guardians, the new XFL franchise, have given me tickets to give away. So direct message me, like the Suns on all the social channels, subscribe to the YouTube channel, send all of that in. And then over the next couple of weeks, I've got pairs of tickets to give out coming up to their home opener on Sunday, February 26th at 4 o'clock at Camping World Stadium. Also going to have, there's a new indoor soccer league team in town. Got a couple of former UCF women's soccer players on it. And they're giving me tickets to give away to the home opener. They're playing at the arena on campus. They debut on Sunday, February 5th. So a men's team and a women's team, indoor soccer at the arena on UCF's campus. So I will have pairs of tickets as well to that. So direct message me for those at @Pez. And of course, give a subscription to the Sons of UCF YouTube channel. It'd be real nice to hit 1,000, by the time we get to the spring game. All right. What do you think?
Probably not going to happen. But Trace, you were at the opening presser for the XFL. What are your impressions of how prepared they are to relaunch this league for now the third time? We're going to try the XFL Take 3. Well,
I was interested that the owner lives in Orlando and her daughter goes to UCF. So that was sort of an interesting conversation starter. These teams are training in Texas as a cost savings measure. And, they don't have a great deal of presence. This was really an opening introductory to them. And we'll see what kind of buzz they build over the next couple of weeks. I don't know, 15, 20,000 would be a reasonable number for them to shoot for at Camping World Stadium. Again, they had the Orlando Rage back in the first incarnation of the XFL. No team in this last version. Still think the color combination is a little bit of a difficult sell for a team in Orlando because they've got that green color scheme that's reminiscent of those guys over in Tampa.
Did they give you any indication of what the season ticket sales are right now? Any numbers were floating around there?
It did not get asked. I did not hear that. I can't imagine it's a big number.
15 to 20 dozen, maybe. I don't know about thousands.
No, every team that they've trotted out in Orlando, and there have been a lot of them, have always drawn in that neighborhood of 15, 20,000. Orlando Rage were supported back in the day. It fills a void in the sports calendar, I mean, the Magic playing a little bit better, and Orlando City debuts soon. So there's always a market in this state for football, though the Vipers struggled in Tampa. But even then, they drew 10, 15,000 in Raymond James for their couple of games before they, the league went on a hiatus and then went out of business.
I'll say they have some interesting rules, and I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL adopts one of these or a couple of these things. In the fourth quarter, you don't have to onside kick. You could just choose to go for a 4th and 15, I think, at your own 25-yard line. I mean, that could make things interesting. The overtime is kind of like a shootout from the 5-yard line. Each team gets 3 tries from the 5-yard line. That's a little different. What else? There's a double forward pass. I don't know about that. You can do a double forward pass as long as
it's like my flag football league.
Yeah, you can't.
Did the Cowboys end the game with something like that against San Francisco?
I thought we were done with this, Trace. I thought we were done with this. Yeah, I thought we were done with this.
I
will tell you,
just line of scrimmage though.
That was my favorite part of your show this week, by the way, was the talk about your team, Adam.
Yeah. First win, 1-2 on the season now under our belt. We got a tough one coming up this Saturday, 11 a.m. We got the kids ready at practice last night. I realized we've got to run shorter routes. Like when I tell my kids to run an out route, I turn around, these kids are halfway down the field, and my quarterback's getting like pummeled in the backfield, and flags are flying everywhere. So I need shorter routes. So I got to work on my route tree a little bit.
Any truth that win is still under protest because you guys got the ball after getting a safety, which should have gone to the other team?
No one asked any questions, Mike. No one said anything. It was a safety. I got the ball back. We marched down for a touchdown. What are you going to do? They could have stopped me, Mike. They could have just stopped me right there. I mean, but the other team, the defense clearly decided not to stop us. I did get a kid who got a personal foul taunting penalty. What are your thoughts on this? When first play of the game, pick 6, this kid's wide open, turns around and flashes the Tyreek Hill peace sign to the closest kid to him, and we got flagged for taunting.
That goes straight back to the coach. The team is a reflection of the head coach.
Fair enough.
And obviously, he got that from you. And, I'd cool down on that. You wouldn't see the llama corns doing that when we're running around the bases on people. We're not taunting anybody. Of course, we don't.
If I recall correctly, you said you weren't running around the bases all that often.
Yeah, we don't score that many runs. But when we do, we don't let the other team know about it.
All right. So Terrence Plummer's still in a team meeting. I do have a question for you, Adam, while I do something about that right here. Okay. Sure. What's happened to the mom who wanted her son to play quarterback? Did you have any information about where that kid ended up this week?
I can update you. He is no longer on my roster. Dolly is asking about the team name. I'm not happy about this, Dolly. It was not my choice. It was assigned to me. We are the Giants, which is. Are
you kidding? You're the Giants.
Which is displeasing on many levels. He is no longer on my roster. When I reached out to the league and asked if I should assume he's no longer part of my team, I did not receive a response back. I did not see him on the field this week, so I'm hoping he shows up at another team and, let the chips fall where they may. I'm not saying we got bounties. I'm not saying we don't, though.
Bounties. What are the ages of these kids? Bounties.
10 to 12. 10 to 12, Trace.
10 to 12.
You going for his knees or you going for his head?
Well, both.
Bounties.
How about you throwing one of those passes like in Varsity Blues out of bounds at the mom, right at her nose?
It's possible. I mean, my quarterback has it. Well, I told you too off air. I love my quarterback to death. Really good kid, great arm. I went out to him after the first game. I said, listen, I won't tell you his name. Actually, his name is Kai. You're not going to know. I said, listen, Kai, you seem like a really great kid. I like you a lot, man. Good arm. But here's the deal. As you get older in life, you may want to get a lawyer on retainer because you make terrible decisions. I just need this kid to actually throw the ball away, not throw in double coverage. He was making some terrible decisions out there.
The only Kai I know is that Hatchet hitchhiker guy. Smash. Yeah. You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
Everybody's lost. Nope. But Trace, I have news for you. Leo is in the green room if we want to bring Leo in. Maybe he can help save this sinking ship that is the Sons of UCF Live.
Yeah, these things happen when they're live. Leo, welcome in. Good to see you. We had a late night last night collaborating on your latest rap, now up on Two Nights Media. We were working on the show and the thing. Come on. Well, Leo, welcome in. Thanks for saving us some time here while hopefully Terrence Plummer comes out of his team meeting in Texas for the Orlando Guardians. We're talking Knights basketball now. Knights fall to 4-4 in league play, 13-7 overall. They lose 82-71 against third-ranked Houston. Leah, what's your big takeaway? They got out rebounded. They got battled there on the boards.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest takeaway is the boards and the defensive effort inside in the paint. Too many points allowed in the paint is going to get you killed. I thought Houston had some grown men and Jarris Walker. And in the end, I think this game I've been pretty vocal about Michael Durr's absence and how it really doesn't affect us. But this one, came to bite me back a bit just because his big presence was needed. We've been doing a good job of rebounding the basketball, but not against the number 3 country in the nation. They're gonna out rebound us every day with the bodies they have down there. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. And even though we lost, I thought it was a respectable way, the way we lost with the injuries and all that. So I just thought that Houston was the better team overall, to be honest.
I want to go back to Saturday's loss in Tampa. That one was unexpected. The Knights played strong in Houston, lost by 6. You look at the calendar, you go, going to be a great crowd, more than 9,000 packed into the arena, students overflowing, good turnout. But, maybe that's going to be a tough one, especially then when you saw how Saturday play out, right? Temple beats Houston, so they come to Orlando fired up, right? But UCF loses to the Cows. Adam, if you don't mind, play this soundbite. My question to Coach Dawkins after that loss in Tampa on Saturday.
Is this a must-win, though, for your team to be considered a serious contender in the American?
I don't know. It's still a long race. There are a lot of games to be played. I think there's going to be a lot of turnaround, up and down for this team. Not for our team, but for this conference. You have a lot of good teams.
Yeah, a lot of games left, but now you drop one you're supposed to have. They're 4-4. They're 10 left, and I know Adam and Mike, you talked about it. They're moving down the standings instead of up the standings. Now it feels like the same question. Is Saturday's game, Leo, a must-win if this team is going to make any noise now?
Oh, absolutely. I was talking to you last night. If we want a shot at the tourney, I'm not even talking about just winning the conference because that's a bit out of reach to be, realistic. We have to win out. We have to win every possible game we can. And the game that I'm circling on my calendar, if we're actually going to be serious, is Memphis away. If we're going to be serious, we need to take care of that game. And let's not mention, at home against Temple this Saturday. We have to take care of that one first, which I'm not feeling great about considering what, Temple is coming in with, winning against USF and Houston, 2 teams we obviously lost to and struggled against. Is it doable? Yes, I think our team definitely has, the talent to overcome Temple. But man, it's the mental block. It's the mental block. I'm going to tell you guys that's probably the number one thing that has played a big part in this team. They don't seem to get over the hump during these runs that the other teams go on, and they just bury themselves. So. Against Temple, they need to get out there and bury them early. Not play the game of runs. They have to go out there, keep that lead, just like we were doing at the beginning of the season against teams like Ole Miss, Mizzou. Even though we lost that game, but we ended up finding some offensive firepower to kind of get behind.
I had to laugh, by the way, Leo, when Knights are up 8-2, and you said they're going to have a lull now, and that's exactly what happened. They lulled on offense, and I'm like, you're used to UCF basketball this season. Yeah,
just covering the team for now, 20 plus games. Now you really get a feeling, and UCF has these patterns now where when they're going to go on runs, when they're just going to stall out on offense. And it's unfortunate, but it's something that it comes with what they do in practice and the mental blocks, like I talked about.
All right, Leo, you're a respected journalist. I am just a gas bag fan watching at home, but I thought the officiating last night was absolute booty. There were certainly some calls that didn't seem to be consistent from team to team. We go to the monitor to review two things, and we end up calling a third thing that we weren't really reviewing in the first place. So that is my unprofessional take on the officiating. Give me your professional view of last night's officiating crew.
I don't think that's unprofessional at all. I think you're being fair with your view, your perspective. I think that the officiating in the American, and I was talking to Eric Lopez last night, and he was telling me, hey, it's not going to get any better in the Big 12. So just kind of be ready for that one. But yes, I have noticed a trend in all AAC games that we have just not been getting calls our way. I don't know if it's the conference protecting its teams like Memphis and Houston, which are obviously the favorites every year, but it's still inexcusable because you got these college guys going out there, giving it their all, and they're playing a fair game. They're trying to play a fair game at least, but when you got officials calling calls the other way, it's not appeasing to the home fans.
What did you think about the decision last night when Taylor Hendricks picks up his fourth foul? I know it was still early in the second half. But as soon as he came out of the game, that's when Houston went on a run. Did you think that you should kept them in for a little while and taking your chances, or maybe brought them back in a little quicker?
With Taylor, I think that personally, I think Coach Dawkins might have made a little bit of a mistake of sitting him for too long. He was trying to make him available a little bit closer towards the end of the game. So he was subbed in at like the 7-minute mark or close to the 7-minute mark. So I thought that maybe a little early, should have just risked it. I know that as soon as Taylor got in the game that Houston was going to attack him and they were going to go to, towards his side of the floor, wherever he was at to get him that fifth foul. But I think that he that fourth foul was not – I don't think the officials made the correct call basically on that fourth foul for Hendricks. I thought he was supposed to be at 3 and be comfortable for that second half.
Well, this is 3 straight losses now for the Knights, and after the game we had opportunity to speak with Taylor Hendricks and Ithiel Horton, and I asked him about this losing streak.
You feel like this team's reeling now? A couple losses in a row?
I mean, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, it's tough. Like, we just lost 3 in a row. But we got to figure it out, Ain't nobody going to figure it out. We got to figure it out. We got to figure it out.
I like, by the way, how Taylor Hendricks says nothing and then looks over to Ithiel. Hey, you take that one, buddy.
Right. I mean, the experience, with Ithiel, being the 5th-year senior, like, it was a provocative questions, as I like to call it, Trace. And
wow.
I think that, the players for the first time this season feel themselves with their backs against the wall. And it's going to be very, very curious to see how they respond in the upcoming games. Just because of what Ithiel said in one of my bites that I posted on my video was, they got to bring it up a notch. They got to bring it up a level. And he's, taking into account, all the seniors on the team, and they got to bring it up another level. So we'll see how they respond to that.
Lee, let's get to the important stuff. People want to know, are you a Taylor Swift fan?
I am not a Taylor Swift. I am not a Swiftie at all. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, contrary to, I'm not going to say anything, but my girlfriend loves Taylor Swift and kind of getting a little scrums sometimes because I'm just not a Swiftie,
Hey, Devin's got 3 sets of tickets if you need them.
So then Taylor Swift or Taylor Hendricks? Pick one.
Taylor Swift or Taylor Hendricks? Taylor Hendricks all the way.
Huh.
Taylor Hendricks all the way. At least I got connections. If he makes it one day to the league, and like, hey, you remember me? Like Taylor Swift? Yeah. You're not gonna do much for me, so.
All right, we're coming off a loss last week, 3 losses in a row now. It's a huge game on Saturday. It's a noon game. What are you expecting after 2 good home crowds, last Memphis and Houston? What's the crowd going to look like Saturday afternoon?
Oof. This is one thing I did want to talk about. It's not it's not fun watching a losing team. It never is, obviously. But this team, it's still a good team. I don't want people to get discouraged over this 3-game skid that they're on. It's not a great team, but it's a good team. I think that they still deserve the support. I think there's still a lot to fight for, even if it's making the tourney or the NIT, it's a team that can win something. I believe. I think they have it in them, and especially if we get Durr back. So I still encourage fans to go out, support the team against Temple, and expect them to turn things around. Because if they don't, it's going to get ugly. Not just for the players themselves, but because they're the ones that really feel it. But the coaching staff is going to start feeling, hey, like we gotta respond,
You mentioned Durr there. I mean, it's several more weeks, if possible, even by the end of the regular season, that the Knights get him back. So they're going to have to work through not having him.
Yeah. And, Lahatun and Silla are doing what they can. I think it's a little too much to ask for out of,
Adam, by the way, is the president of the Lahatun fan club.
Yeah. So yeah, I can't ask too much of them is all I'm going to say.
Clearly, you can't ask too much of them. Yeah.
And we'll see when Durr comes back, but he should be back within a month.
All right, more important questions for you, Leo. Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
Whoa. And
Leo was like 5 years old when those.
I might be mistaken. But is NSYNC locally from Orlando?
Yeah, I mean, in theory,
Okay.
they were formed, and so was the Backstreet Boys, to be fair, though. But Orlando was the birthplace of boy band music in that late '99, early 2000s range. Yeah.
You know what? I might have to go with NSYNC.
Okay.
I might have to go with NSYNC. Yeah, for sure. That's what JT saying, and so I had a.
Okay, here we go. He's got JT. We're good. Okay.
All right. Even more important questions. The New York Football Giants. What are we doing? Daniel Jones, is he coming? Do we re-sign him?
There was no Giants.
All right, we'll talk on the Giants. Now it's the offseason. We got to talk serious questions. Do we bring him back? Do we re-sign him? Do we let him go? We go after Lamar Jackson. Tua might be available. What are you thinking?
Tua.
I just know
the Dolphins are going to sign Tom Brady. So.
I just know what Joe Shane's going to do as a GM. I just know he wants to franchise tag Jones. He knows that he obviously didn't show, maybe superstar potential this season, but there was definitely progress, and you saw it. So he wants to give him a franchise tag to see, okay, let's see what you can do for us this upcoming year, and then offer him big money. But that's just what I think Joe's going to do. Me personally, I'd go for Lamar Jackson. That's me.
Of course.
But
Sure.
yeah, Shane's he's a safe GM. He knows what to do. So I'm going to trust him and all his moves this offseason, and hopefully we get better next year.
Mike, of those, you like Lamar there?
I do, but I mean, how old is he now? And he's done so much with his legs. Usually those guys, once they get older, he's not the greatest passer. I mean, he's not horrible, but
wouldn't that be great if you had a great runner but not the greatest passer for both your college and pro teams?
Yeah.
You'd have a frustrating weekend every weekend.
What are you trying to say, Trace?
I'm just saying.
Lamar's fantastic. I just worry about his best days actually being behind him now.
Mailbag question, throw your way, Leo. It was a late ad from James, DU, and then a lot of numbers, 65429071. Will Taylor Hendricks be one and done or another year with UCF?
It'll benefit him to stay another year if he wants his stock to rise. But, I don't see why he wouldn't take an opportunity if his stock is in the first round this year. If his stock is in the first round, doesn't matter if it's, in the late first round. I think he goes if it's late first round. If it's not, I think he stays. I'm not sure exactly where, NBA teams rate him, but I'll tell you what, there's a lot of NBA scouts last night, and they were watching him. He had a great game. I would not be surprised if he's climbing up, the draft stock as we speak. And my gut's telling me that he will be one and done. But it will benefit him greatly if he stays another year, plays with his brother, and could be a top 15 pick if he sharpens his talent up.
Adam, agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think he's got the size. He always has the outside shot. I mean, big guys with length who can stretch the floor. Obviously, an NBA commodity these days. His frame's a little light, but I don't think that the NBA GMs care about that stuff anymore. I mean, they're drafting younger kids and stashing them in the program for a while to build some muscle. So I think we'll have to see how the latter half of his season goes. Right. I mean, I think. I don't know if it's fair to say, Leo, you tell me if you disagree. I think he's hit a little bit of a wall, right? I think he's had a couple of games where I think the Cows, he was 4 of 13 from the field, something like that, right? So he's had a couple of games where he's kind of hit the wall. So I think it'll depend how he finishes and how UCF finishes. Let's all be fair for a second. If you're talented, they'll find you. But if you make a deep run, either the AAC tournament or you get to the NCAA tournament, you open yourselves up to more scouts. So if UCF just goes down the crapper right now, he loses opportunity maybe to get some scouts to come watch him. I think they'll find talent, but I do think it's on that line right now. If I had to call it right now, if he called me and said, "Hey, Adam, what's up?" It's Taylor. I say, "Hey, Taylor, how are you?" He said, "I'm good." I would say, "Hey, you might want to stick around UCF for another season," but I don't think he's going to call me. But I'll check my phone.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Adam. I think it benefits him greatly to stake another season, and for a first-year freshman, he hasn't had a bad year. He's almost averaging 15 points per game. That's crazy for a freshman that's 18 years old, and we'll see what he does. But I, as a UCF fan as well, I want to see him another year. So
10 games left on the schedule. Give us a prediction. How do we finish? And is there a number there where you put Dawkins on the way out? If we go 2-8, is he out the door? If we go 3-7, what's the number to get him out of here?
I think those two records that you mentioned, 3-7, 2-8, I think that should be enough to put him on the hot seat. I'm talking, we're finishing, with 15 wins. That's it. That's unacceptable. I think with the talent that we have on our team, you got to get 20 wins. Get to 20 wins. Just please get to 20 wins. That's like a benchmark in college basketball to get to 20 wins, especially with a team like the one you have. You have the most highly recruit in UCF history. Like, please, take care of business. I think they will. I'm going to give you a prediction. I think they do get to 20, barely.
7-3. They got to go 7-3.
Yeah, so I think we'll do 7-3, and we'll make it to 20. But I don't want to see Coach Dawkins on the hot seat personally. I like what he's doing with what he has, which is important to emphasize. I like what he's doing with what he has. A lot of people need to understand that. Coach Dawkins, you might not like him because of his results or whatnot, but let's really sit down and analyze what UCF is as a basketball school. And he's doing, I think, a great job with what he's given. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens after the season.
All right, Leo, thanks for hopping on a little bit early as we juggle the schedule a little bit. You can catch Leo's latest work on the Sons of UCF YouTube channel. And Leo, I'll see you out at the arena on Saturday, high noon against Temple, the latest must-win for the Knights.
All right, Trace. Take care, guys.
See you, Leo.
Thank you, Leo. Expect a preview for my buddy John Weiss. Probably come out Friday. I'll be on twonightsmedia.com. So Terrence Plummer update, he remains in a meeting. So he may not make the show. They juggled.
Can he join us from the meeting, or?
That's probably not going to happen.
What are they working on? Do we know?
I do not know that. I just know that he's in a team meeting that got moved because their practice schedule changed, and he didn't know. So go around the kingdom. We talk men's basketball, women's basketball. Ladies, they're not. They're struggling. 10-8 now, 1-5 in the league. Lost 81-53 at the Cows. Knights still lead the war on I-4 rivalry, but it's narrowing. And I've got to imagine it'd be a struggle for the women to win their next game. We'll see if the men can beat the Cows when they come over from Tampa. So up for the women Saturday, January 28th at Temple at 2:00. So both men and women playing on Saturday against Temple. And Wednesday, February 1 versus SMU at home at 6:00. Softball Open Media Day is next week. Knights continue to reel in the accolades. Softball America has the Knights 16th preseason. ESPN USA today has UCF 18th. And Jada Cody ranked 31st in Softball America's preseason top 100, top 50 on USA Softball's watch list for Collegiate Player of the Year. She was one of my favorite guests from last year, and I loved how we discovered her love of art and painting Remember that, Adam? When
Is she
I think you know
free
it's-
now? Is she free now? We have openings. I don't know if she's available. Also, shameless plug, our friends at the 1012 Network, you can find them wherever you get downloadable content, had Coach Sydney Ball Malone on the show this week. So if you want to hear from Coach Bear, go find the 1012 podcast and catch up with Coach Bear.
Good shameless plug. All right. Mailbag time.
We're going mailbag? All right, we're way out of order here. It's all out of control.
It's that time again. It's time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag. Brought to you by 2 letters, 2 words.
Any video questions?
We don't, unless I missed them, which is very possible, but I don't believe we have any.
It's possible. Is Destiny queued up for the end of the show, or
Just have to wait, Trace. Just have to wait.
All right, let's open up the mailbag. First question, Sam Unger to Unger. Does UCF have the whiniest fan base in college football? Of course, outraged. There'd be a Friday night spring game. Big talk on social media for the last 48 hours. I don't know about the whiniest, but there's certainly a whiny section of it.
And this one's not on our sheet, but yeah, I do think they're getting up there in terms of the number of whiny fans we have, which they're not top 10. Maybe they're top 20, but we're getting up there.
Trace, you called them University of Complaining Fans earlier in the week. Come on, say it. You know you want to say it. Just say it.
No, I'm not going to do what you did. I'm not pulling that punch.
They're morons.
Saying that. No, but I'm not going to call the fan base morons, but I do think they complain a lot. I don't know about the whiniest, because you're only exposed to your fan base for the most part, right? You're not in everybody else's message boards all week long. So at Zeebles UCF, going to the Big 12 is huge for UCF, but Timo admitted a bit of work to be in consideration started before he got here. So 2 years in, we're getting close to that 2-year anniversary. Other than the Big 12 move, which I'm not sure you give him credit for, that's my words. How would you describe Timo's tenure leading UCF athletics? Can I frame this a little bit different? It's a question I've been asking some friends. What are Terry Mohajir's top 5, in no particular order, accomplishments in his 2 years as AD?
I mean, that would have been helpful in advance, Trace. I think we replaced the indoor practice facility turf.
Okay.
Then we upgrade some locker rooms, I believe was that.
Got to give him hiring Gus, right? That's one.
Sure. I mean, yeah, I guess that's the future of college football. Rebrand of the uniforms, I guess, closer to, what UCF. I'm stretching here. What are we going to do?
It's an interesting question, though, isn't it?
I mean, he set some very lofty fundraising goals. I mean, he's been very transparent that he wants money. They put together a nice portfolio of stuff. He put out a rap video people liked. I think Andy's in the comments here. Big fan of Frankie Valli. I mean, the list goes on.
Does it? It's not a long list.
The biggest thing he was supposed to do when he got here was raise money and improve the facilities, which he said he was going to do. And then NIL and all this pay-for-play stuff happened, and he's had to rethink about how they're spending their money. I don't think he has the easiest job, but probably the hiring of Gus Malzahn is the biggest thing he's done. He hasn't had to redo the basketball program yet, which may be coming soon. That would be a big step. But he's here just to keep things afloat until we get to the Big 12, start getting those paychecks, and then let's see what he can do with the money.
He sort of waited for a while to embrace the Kingdom NIL, as he did most recently. By the way, interesting money being made by Josh Heupel and Danny White this week. Big multi-million-dollar contract announcements by Tennessee. So that's interesting this week. At Black Gold, Guido, interested in our take on the state of UCF Big 3 football, men's basketball, and baseball over the past 5 years, asking if UCF's injury-prone. You think that's an issue? It certainly seems like something we talk about across all 3 of these sports. Baseball's been bit by it, but I don't know. Basketball's had some injuries, but does any program not have some injuries? I don't know. I think it's made to be too much by UCF's fans.
I think the only team that is a little concerning is the baseball team, because I think we've had some soft tissue injuries there. Basketball, anytime you jump, you're liable to land on somebody's ankle, and that's going to be a couple of games for you there. Football is a collision sport, right? I mean, any of us get hit with something, and all of a sudden an elbow or wrist hurts. Baseball is the only one I'm a little bit concerned about, how we continually have some of the same injuries, and not just the injuries. I don't know the whole details of the story, but it seemed like last year's Blistergate never quite got better, and we never figured out how to solve the blister challenges we're having from a pitching staff, which is something you would hope a medical staff can do. So baseball's the only one where I'm a little bit raised eyebrow skeptical.
The problem is we don't have the depth. Once these injuries happen, the guys that are filling in are not on the same level. That's the thing we're going to have to correct the most, is to fill in these rosters with depth, with the guys that can come in and you won't miss a beat.
You know, it's interesting you say depth there. A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the depth on the men's basketball team, and then Darius is out, and you lose another guy, and then suddenly, right, we're in disarray where we thought we had a deep bench 3 games ago, right? So that changed. But I think you're right, Mike. It's when it gets down to depth, which is the big challenge for football, right? Especially along the offensive and defensive lines. The war of attrition over the course of the football season. Does UCF have enough depth? And certainly not yet. That's why that transition to the Big 12 in football and other sports is going to be a challenging one. At Lonely Bee, UCF, how long before someone associated, he says, with Kingdom NIL or Mission Control goes down for embezzlement? That's a tough charge. But I think the bigger topic is, what's the oversight of these organizations, right?
I think it's more money laundering than embezzlement. I feel like this is a nice place to wash some money if you're so inclined. I don't think anybody at the UCF level, very reputable, would do something like that. But I'm not above University of Miami with some money washing there, Mike.
As soon as we start really stealing some players from Florida and Miami, then that's exactly when it's going to happen. The very next day, we start signing 5-star guys, and questions start being asked. Then don't be surprised if you see some lawsuits coming our way.
Wow. The prediction of lawsuits. Emptiness 4, who says at this time, currently having red velvet cake at the Magic game. What's the fanciest food you've had at a sporting event? Mike likes to high roll, so he likes to be up in the club suites and that kind of stuff. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, you know me. Typically, I'm just a hot dog guy at ball games. I don't go to the ball games to eat fancy food. The Marlins Stadium down here, when it first opened, out in left field, they had this section called the Taste of Miami. They had some good stuff out there. You got the empanadas, and you got the Cuban sandwiches, and you had the pork and the beans and the rice and all that stuff. Once Derek Jeter took over, all that was gone. There's nothing to eat there anymore. They run out of mustard at the games now. But yeah, I don't know the answer to that question. I can't think of anything I've had that's spectacular at a football or a baseball game.
Adam.
Same. I remember at the Marlins game, I think there was like a Venezuelan hot dog or something that had all the fixins and trim on it, which was really good. At UCF, I get that nachos in a bowl thing these days in the cabana. I don't know if that counts as fancy. Here's the problem with sporting event food. Do you want to go fancy? Are you getting a lobster roll at good old Spectrum Stadium? I don't know. So I try to keep it simple at the stadium.
A lobster roll. Do they sell those?
I don't know, but if they had, would you buy one, Mike? If they had a lobster roll available to you, I don't know.
Yeah, at that point, I'd eat everything. You know me, especially after a good day of tailgating and drinking. I'm hungry. You know what I get usually? Whatever has the shortest line. If there's a long line with a pork sandwich, I'm going
lobster roll at the stadium.
Yeah, that's why I needed those hot dogs at the top of the cabana, because there was no line. Boom, yep, my hot dog back to my seat or back to my standing spot.
Share a story, press box at Buccaneers home games. They serve at halftime the dessert, the Bananas Foster. And a couple times I've been up there for games. I was in line, and at one game, I knew the voice behind me, Gene Deckerhoff, voice of the Bucs, in line at halftime for his Bananas Foster dessert. So I'd say that's my.
Am I the only one who doesn't know what that is?
That's Bananas Foster. That's a fancy dessert. It's
what
a dessert. Bananas. I don't
Clearly.
know. Foster.
What's the Foster element?
It's warm.
I don't know.
It's warm. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know all that's the ingredients in it, but it's a fancy dessert that you don't normally have.
Okay.
It's good. I don't know if cinnamon's in it, but it's sweet.
I really like fruit as part of my dessert. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I don't
Now
really
we
like
know.
fruit. Like if I'm gonna go dessert, like I'm go big or go home. Like I don't want something that has quasi healthy, elements to it. Just give
Do
me
you
the
put
chocolate
fruit
cake.
in your beer though? Do you hang an orange on one of your beers, or don't
This is
you
a
get
funny
fruity-
story. I was out of town last week, right? So me and my colleagues go down. No one's listening anyway, by the way. Me and my colleagues go down to the lobby bar, have a drink after the meeting, and so I'm looking at the beer selection, and I was like, you know what? Give me a Blue Moon, right? And so the bartender, nice young lady, says, "Do you want an orange with that?" And I said, "Sure." You know what? Give me an orange. Assuming she was going to pour the Blue Moon into a glass and then garnish my rim with an orange.
Right.
No. She took her finger and shoved a full orange full on down my Blue Moon. And so now I've got to drink the Blue Moon that may or may not have been just all kinds of violated by this poor lady putting a full-size orange slice, I might tell you, down my Blue Moon.
So say that again, a full orange down your Blue Moon.
Yeah, yes, that's correct.
At the JC morning, after dropping 3 straight, Mike, we'll rapid fire with you on these. Is men's basketball in deep trouble yesterday?
Yes.
I gotta leave.
Yeah. Will they be a perennial bottom dweller in the Big 12?
Yes.
Is JD on the hot seat
Yes.
right now? That's also the question. I am Rob 6719. Does Mike still want Johnny to pack his bags? You're AD, Mike. You're AD. You're Terry Modger, who I saw last night. He does not seem particularly interested in watching basketball. He's there at the games, but he doesn't have the same passion at the basketball games that you see him going crazy on the sidelines of the football games. You're AD right now, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny, packing? You going for a
If
coach
I can
search?
find a replacement that I think is better than him, yes, and I would be looking around. And if I called Rick Pitino tomorrow and he answered the phone and said I'd be interested in being a Big 12 coach next year, and he's willing to come, then he's got the job.
At Devon's Wage, which uniforms are worse? The Cows baby puke slime football jerseys, or whatever those high school jerseys they wore last weekend? They are all in on that slime when they play UCF.
Yeah, slime is terrible. That's terrible. There's no second answer. There's slime.
But I mean, they're all in on it, so they don't back off.
Are you surprised by any of this?
No.
Yeah. Decision-making quality, not exactly a strength for our friends over there in West Tampa.
Our friends at the 10-12 network, what are you more excited for, UCF baseball or UCF softball?
I'll go softball. I mean, I think obviously we have a squad that can maybe make some noise again this season. They've been a bit of a run. I never know what to expect from baseball, so I know a lot of people joke that softball is probably our best sport on campus right now. So why not root for the best sport on campus? Give me softball.
Yeah, that's the easy answer, I think, too. I mean, they are the better team. I'm just always been a baseball guy my whole life. I look forward to baseball season.
Gotcha. At Nightfan 94, who would be a better OC at UCF and why? Jerry Kramer, George, or Elaine? Elaine, she's the smartest of the bunch.
Highest IQ. That's what I thought, too.
I think George, because he'll find some sort of creative way, some loophole in the rule to score a bunch of points. I think George will find a loophole that allows us to do something that you're not allowed to do. We'll score a touchdown. The refs will go, you can't do that. George will say, was that wrong? I didn't know. And we'll end up with 7 points.
But the jerseys will shrink halfway through the game, and then they'll have a problem. So.
Luckily, we got a few sets.
It'll look great when George is doing it for a while, but somehow it'll backfire at the end. Elaine's got the highest IQ. George looks like the football coach. If I need 4 of them. He looks like he could be a football coach,
Remember, so if George does something specific, I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, he turns into a genius. Absolute zero. So I think he might be able to figure out a good playbook, Mike.
Follow me on Twitter at SeinPaz, dropping Seinfeld trivia every morning before work. At CapVeej1, you're given airfare anywhere in the world, $15,000, but you have to leave tonight. And that seems like a good idea at this point. Where would you go?
Go to see Terrence Plummer at this point.
I'd jet over to Texas and join his meeting. I don't think Terrence is joining us, Adam.
Is it just me, or is this a family trip?
It says you opt whether you want the family included in that.
If you bring the family, that's 15,000 split 4 ways.
Right. Well, that change. I'm not going to go certain places if I have to bring the entire family with me. If we're doing family fun events, then I may change my mind. I'll let Mike go first. He's a traveler.
Oh man, yeah. I went to Italy last year. I loved it. I'd love to go back to Italy. Maybe a couple different cities over there. Check them out. You know what? If I'm staying in America, I've never been to California. I've never really been to the West Coast. I'd like to check out San Diego. I hear it's
San Diego's beautiful. You'd like San Diego. I would go to Greece.
Is that solo, by the way? Did you ditch the family, or is that with the family?
That's solo. That's solo. I've also always wanted to go to Australia, but I'm afraid of that flight. I can't sit in that plane for like 18 hours or something.
Yeah, that's mine. Australia, Fiji, New Zealand, all of that would be, and I think I could spend $15,000 on that trip. Lonely Bumblebee, Prague, the greatest city in the world. Can you drop $15,000 there? All right, everybody.
Don't
drop
challenge
15,000
Mario
anywhere. You
yeah,
can drop
don't challenge
15,000
Mario.
in Orlando if you want it.
When the questions came in, I answered that question online. Lubbock begins and ends with Lubbock. Could you drop 15,000 in Lubbock?
Ooh, that's a lot of prairie dogs. I don't know. You'd probably not. You'd probably be the richest guy in Lubbock. 15,000. Be a king.
He'd probably buy property.
Be the mayor of Lubbock. All right, remember, if you're interested in pairs of tickets to the Orlando Guardians, the new XFL team's home opener on February 26th, direct message me at SignPez as well. I have tickets to the Central Florida Crusaders Indoor Soccer League opener at UCF in the arena on Sunday, February 5th. Drop me a DM or subscribe to the Suns YouTube channel and just show us you did so and all that good stuff, and we'll get those out to you. Guys, enjoyed your show this week. This one a little bumpy with Terrence Plummer, still in team meetings with the Guardians in Texas. Apologies sent from the sports information director, and hopefully we can catch up with Terrence soon. We thank you for joining us, and for Adam and Mike, I'm Trace Trolko. Go Knights, everyone.
Charge on. We're doing that? Oh, you want a player, right? You don't think I'm ready for a player, Trace?
Destiny? Is it Destiny?
Am I ready? Am I ready?
I'm Michael Durr. Thanks for watching the Suns of UCF. Good night.
In healthier times, Michael Durr. Need you back, buddy.